No, BOSS here is Bitcoin open source software.
Okay.
So instead of FOSS, it's a twist on FOSS.
Okay.
So it's free open source software development for Bitcoin. Jonas from Chaincode has coined the term BOSS.
It's a great name.
And he and Chaincode have created the BOSS challenge. This will be the 3rd year. So I just want to let people, anyone listening or anyone listening who knows people who want to get into open source Bitcoin development in a serious way, that this is for you. It's like a 3-month program, super intensive. Like I said, it's the 3rd year running. In the first 2 years, like 8, 9, 10 developers in each of those cohorts have gone on they've gotten Spiral grants and many other jobs working in the open source Bitcoin space. So it's a really good program. So if anyone that you know is interested in going from like a Google job or tech job or whatever traditional software development job, and they really want to get into Bitcoin, and this is a good path for them.
So this isn't like a beginner 101 thing. This is, you're really good at traditional software, and now you want to become good.
Yeah. So you need to So you need to be a competent, like skilled software developer. You can be. It's 101 for getting into Bitcoin, but it's an accelerated program. So like you're expected after 1 month of intensive study, then the next 2 months you work on a project on a real open source Bitcoin.
And this is
project.
like a full-time program?
It's a full-time program. So it would need, it's someone who
quit your job,
is ready. You're on the beach, or you're ready to quit your job. You're pretty committed to, you're not just dipping your toes in the water, but you're committed to full-time and open source Bitcoin software.
Salud.
Yeah.
And is it in person?
I'm not actually sure. Chaincode has definitely done in-person stuff before at Chaincode. This might be remote. They might have some in-person component, but I think it's mostly remote.
Okay, so this actually is an interesting segue towards a larger topic I wanted to bring up, but maybe we'll start with this since you're already mentioning BOSS. So I've been thinking over the break a lot more about AI scaling laws, AI software development. I have a lot of thoughts there, and I want to get your views on all this. However, one area I want to start is I was discussing with someone a few weeks ago at the AI conference here about Bitcoin development itself. And he kind of raised a concern, and you're the closest to all this, so I'm curious your view, that, okay, to set the stage, AI is getting really good really fast. Every couple months you come back and you're like, holy shit, this thing's a lot better. There's like vibe coding got really good. And I'm sure we'll talk more about MDK and some stuff I saw yesterday, which blew my mind. But the TLDR is like, if you thought AI was bad 6 months ago or 3 months ago, try it again. It's just going to keep getting better and better and better. So like we're on this like exponential type curve. Now, what I am a little concerned about is you kind of have 2 camps of people in the world I see. You have the camp of people who get that, and maybe they're super skilled developers and they're just like kind of like the Carpathy, like embrace the vibe coding, like let it fill you and go with it and you correct it. And then you've got, total beginners who are awesome because they're just like, now they can do new things, like not total beginners, but someone like Matt Belez or DK are now like coding crazy applications and stuff. But then you've got this other group, which are like really skilled software developers from the old world. And I would consider these kind of like the, what are the Jewish dudes with the curls? Like the
Hasidic Jews?
Yeah, kind of like the Hasidic, but like there's, the Orthodox.
Okay.
And, one concern I have that this person flagged for me is that a lot of Bitcoin core developers, or like a lot of the old Bitcoin core mindset. And I get why, because it's like the kind of thing where it's like nuclear submarine code level. You cannot have any bugs. You can't necessarily trust the AIs, but kind of raised the concern that a lot of these guys are very orthodox and like used to doing things like themselves. Now, as I see, Anthropic just a couple of days ago released their coding agents or breaking smart contracts. And of course, it's Ethereum and Solana, so it's kind of like crap. But like, we're going to find a lot more bugs everywhere in the world that humans couldn't find. And if you really believe these exponential charts, then it's like, I don't think we're that far away from having AIs that are like far better than Greg Maxwell. And I use Greg Maxwell because I think of him as like the gold or the Bitcoin standard of developers. But the point is, like, he's not AI. What is your view on that? Are there people in the Bitcoin core community that are like embracing it? Is it kind of an orthodox, like, no, we don't believe in this thing because it could have bugs? Like, yeah, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I think, a few thoughts. One is that I think there's a little bit more hesitancy from protocol developers and lower level software, partially because of just habits and the reasons you mentioned, but also the AI tools are not yet good enough for that type of software. I've seen it with my own team working on Lightning Development Kit, which is also pretty low level protocol software, and I've encouraged them and nudged them to look at these tools, especially because they are improving every
month.
Continuously. So like check in every 3 months at least. And the only signs like Max Fang from Lexi has started to adopt Claude into his daily workflow, and he works on software that's also pretty system level, low level software. So I think that's a good example of someone embracing it and working reasonably well. I don't think it's like transformative. I mean, I think it's the kind of thing like say it's like a 20% win kind of thing, like meaningful.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's positioned now to keep getting those gains as AI improves.
That's what I like.
So he's changed his
watch and see
behavior.
it,
So like it's a very good investment. The win so far, though, I'd say is like nice, but not game changing.
Sure.
So I like to monitor that, but I don't think the tools are there yet to write low level software code yet. But there's other applications, right? Obviously the vibe coding stuff, we've talked about that a lot on the show, but testing as well. Code review is another.
Yeah.
And like LND has turned on AI code review for LND.
That's good.
LDK's turned it on a couple times, and the first time it just simply was not valuable.
When you say turned it on, what does turned it on mean?
So there's just it's like a
CI/CD.
It's just no, when you open a pull request, just this bot automatically reviews. I mean, AI bot automatically reviews the code, and then writes up a review and posts it to GitHub. So if that's a bunch of like AI slop and noisy, it's a net negative, and certainly that was the case the first go around. And LND's turned it on now. So I think that's improving, and it's very plausible that's going to go from net negative to a net win. So that's code review. Writing tests is another application. Now another thing to consider is like code being submitted that either a human is presenting, but it's actually done by AI, or it's an anonymous account.
It's an AI,
and you don't know who the identity is, who it is, but it's AI generated code. There's a risk because it could have a bunch of like bugs, or it could have backdoors hidden in it, etc. Now that's true for anyone.
True for humans too, right?
That's true for anyone. Even if Greg Maxwell submits something, we have to assume like he could make a mistake.
He got compromised or something.
Yeah, compromised, whatever. I think so. Projects, another concern is like projects being inundated with PR requests. You can imagine just like thousands of PRs being generated automatically by AI, and then like how do you sift through all of them? That's actually being dealt with right now for the BIPs, the Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. There's work being done on a BIP 3, I think it is, to improve the or like an iteration of the process for BIPs.
Yeah.
And there's debate and controversy over should LLMs be allowed to be used for BIPs.
And I hope we don't go like Hasidic, like just get destroyed. So that's dangerous.
There's some people. There's some. So the concern by not using it is it the work imposed on the BIP editors to review potentially an insane amount of content that was just AI slop. But obviously there's a contingent saying like we need to embrace tools that improve, and also to what degree? Like if I write a BIP and then have an LLM review it and tweak the language, is that prohibited? And I mean, that's a whole debate going on right
also,
now.
there's sort of, I want to at least raise a distinction, see if my understanding is consistent with sort of your experience here. But like, my understanding is in Bitcoin development, the ideas are more of the challenge than the implementation. Like the software writing is not that hard compared to coming up with the right ideas and getting consensus on the ideas. Is that?
I agree with that, except changing the code in the Bitcoin Core code base, Satoshi's code base is fraught with danger. I mean, it's C++. It was
I see. Yeah.
It was not super well written by Satoshi, and it's just been like a patchwork ever since then. With a long-term trend of trying to make more maintainable code, better organized code. What was it, like 2021 or so, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was the inflation bug that several prominent core developers wrote and reviewed it. So I mean, if we were to select the 3 best people to be looking at it, it would be those 3 people, and yet an inflation bug was introduced, only to be caught by a BCH developer who
really
responsibly disclosed it.
Wow.
So,
oh man.
So yeah, I mean, the code base is still very tricky. So there's no doubt in my mind that more code review, usage of LLMs to do code review and write test cases and do fuzz testing, etc. Like, I mean, Laolu's, prize-winning hackathon from Persisted Bitcoin was a agentic fuzzing league, I think is what he called it. There's no doubt in my mind those types of areas will already can deliver value and will just continue to deliver value.
So that seems to me, as we think about, I know a question we have is like how sort of Persisted Bitcoin is going to embrace AI going into the future and potentially sponsor decentralized AI and stuff. This to me seems like very low hanging fruit, where if there's not already a contingent, like what I would love to see is that there are a contingent of competent, really good Bitcoin developers who are also at least open to the possibility of being AGI built. Laolu is a great example.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's super important. I mean, Laolu has a couple of things going for him. 1, he's young. 2, he's here. And I honestly believe it makes a difference whether you're in San Francisco or not. I really do. Like, I talk to people outside the rest of the world. If they're not saying they're talking to their friends from Anthropic and other parties, like they don't see how fast this is going. And I'm not saying it has to be, right? Like, I know it's always going to have a skeptical mindset, but my fear is if we end up with only the old heads that don't see this coming, that's like a big risk to me. And so whether that's sponsoring people that are 100% their whole job is like, we're going to try and attack Bitcoin Core in a responsible way with LLMs to whatever testing, like finding exploits. That seems like super high value.
Agreed. So anyone listening that wants to do that or know someone, like Spiral absolutely give grants for that. And I forget if we mentioned this in the show or not, but when I was in Berlin in October, met up with Felix Weiss, who's a longtime developer in the Bitcoin space. And he was eager to show me this demo, and he's never been like eager to show me a demo before. And I'm glad he showed me the demo. I don't think I intended to talk about it on the show. I don't think I have yet, but he used Claude for like 3 months to write a Bitcoin implementation from scratch. So not like building on Core or something, or he didn't fork the Core code. He wrote a Bitcoin implementation from scratch, which could do an IBD, initial block download, which takes maybe like 5-6 hours using Core in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So he used a different approach,
pulling blocks from more.
He just
nodes,
used a different. He just used. I mean, there's a little bit of there are trade-offs compared to the way Core does it, but it's an interesting approach. I think it's similar to the libBitcoin approach, which is another long time implementation of Bitcoin. But what I find fascinating about it is like he had an idea that he wanted to see in action, and instead of like whining and crying that Core is corrupt or Core's move slow or they don't embrace change,
he just made his own.
He just made his own. He also is not like threatening forks or anything like that. He just built his own, leveraged LLM. Like he's the first to say there's no way he could have done this without Claude. He had to use Claude. So embraced the technology, used Claude, has a working demo and has real metrics and numbers behind it. And I think that, so are people going to like flock to that implementation? No, but what it's a really good communication and persuasive tool. Now he can publish this and share it with people and share it with the Core project, share it with others, saying like, hey, I tested this result. Here's what I got. And perhaps Core will add that one day.
Yeah. And we have some interesting comments. Vinny here is saying, it's hard for good devs to trust junior devs. Luckily, if we wait another 6 months, they'll be better than us anyway. All vibes all the time. And I think that if I had like one message in thinking through funding people to do this stuff, or like old, people that are used to the old ways, it's like, yes, maybe they're not there today, and like the 20% win is maybe like whatever, or maybe you don't even like the 20% win, you'd rather do things by hand. But the risk, I think the biggest risk right now is if you ignore it and you miss. And like, to your point, we're about to be flooded with pull requests and information from AIs. The only way to defend against that is with AI. Like, I'm 100% convinced if human, it's going to be like, I don't even know what the example, like bringing sticks to a fight with nuclear weapons if you're not equipped. So I don't know. I'm increasingly concerned about that. I'm glad to hearing law lose on top of it makes me like very happy. And I think it's something we can also push more for, being here in San Francisco, continuing to build a bridge between the AI community and Bitcoin. But
what was it? Felix was the guy you mentioned?
Yeah.
Do you know sort of what process he used to do that? Because it would not surprise me if there's like, if you tried to not implement it and instead just get an LLM to understand what Bitcoin is without an implementation, I wonder if it could help us think about it in a better way, or sort of get, I think there's a lot of just, sort of anecdotally transmitted culture pieces of Bitcoin that maybe don't exist in the code base. And if we could create a little bit of like an AI thinking model about what is Bitcoin and what's the purpose and what are the edges on it, then we can take that as an evolving thing and maybe build different implementations out of it. And I wonder if we got a really good version of that, if it could, that from AlphaGo, I think it's Move 37 or something. Do you know that one?
Yeah, of course.
I wonder if there's like a Move 37 in a Bitcoin implementation.
There will be.
And if we can sort of get an AI to understand what our principles are that we're trying to achieve, sort of independent of the implementation, how, if we could do that. And I wonder if Felix, if he explored any of that.
I don't know.
I mean, Vinny says something similar. He says you can also use it to come up with seemingly impossible new ideas. I think that's exactly what you're saying. It's just like Move 37 for everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know any more details about his process. I'll ask him though, and I'll point him to this show that we talked a little bit about his good work, and maybe he'll share. I know he presented this at a conference in the Middle East like 1 or 2 months ago, but I think he intends to do a more formal announcement of the project as well, and he should share his process more.